Simple shoulder movements that can help you correct your overactive traps. Overactive upper traps can be a massive issue when you're doing any sort of pulling or rowing movements. Often your upper traps can get very active when you are doing weights that could be too heavy for yourself, when your posture is not ideal for the movement itself, or you don't actually understand what you're doing or what your back looks like when you're doing a row or a pull. Now this video is created to give you an understanding of what upper trap dominance looks like, so you have a better and a clearer visual of that. I will also give you 4 solutions on how you can work your shoulders better, learn to recruit your mid-back muscles so that you can prevent upper trap dominance. Now in saying this, upper trap dominance can lead to the unwanted growth of your upper traps. I think for a lot of females, that is their focus. They really don't want really thick upper traps. It can also lead to things like migraines, which is not a positive thing, as well as incorrect movement patterns that will take the focus away from training your back itself. So let's delve into understanding upper trap dominance a little bit better. The first shoulder movement that we're going to look at is a hanging reverse shrug. Now really what this is hanging from the bar, very much using a neutral grip, and watch me as I allow my body to hang completely. In doing this exercise, I want to make sure that my shoulder blades are free as I'm hanging. So what that means is that it is at its top position, it is elevated and slightly protracted, externally rotated while I'm hanging. Now the goal here is to bring the inner edges of my shoulder blades together as I shrug upwards towards the bar. So the reason for this activity is to activate my lower traps, my mid traps, and to give me more awareness of how my shoulder blades are actually made to move. So watch me as I shrug upwards, and I will internally rotate and depress my shoulder blades and squeezing it there, and then repeat this movement again and again. Now the more awareness I have of my shoulder blades itself and how my shoulder blades are meant to move, the better I'm able to keep it in line when I'm doing any sort of rowing or pulling movements. The second movement that I'm going to introduce is a scapular retraction using a cable. So really, the focus of this activity is to learn to retract my shoulder blades one at a time by doing a side-on retraction. Now, a side-on retraction is quite uncommon. Not many people will learn how to do it. The reason why I put this particular activity in is because it gives you a much bigger awareness of how your scapula is meant to move. So a side-on retraction is where the cable is adjusted to where my shoulder height is, and my goal here is to pull one shoulder blade towards the other shoulder blade from the middle and the lower portions. So I allow my shoulder blades to stretch completely so it protracts, and then when I retract a shoulder blade itself, I pull it inwards. You will start to see that shoulder blade move inwards and work the middle and the lower traps itself. The focus here is not to get my upper traps overly activated, where you can start to see me shrugging. So there is no shrugging. I aim to depress and hold my shoulder blades in place as I squeeze the middle and the lower shoulder blade through the movement of the cable itself. Part B is to change the angle of this activity. So instead of doing it from shoulder height, we now move the cable to a top angle, and what we aim to do is to pull the cable down towards the middle of my back itself. So that means my shoulder blade is being retracted inwards and downwards. Now the goal as I do this is to familiarize myself again with the activation of the mid and the lower traps, as well as to deactivate my upper traps. It's a conscious deactivation of my upper traps. The third activity is a supported unilateral dumbbell scapular retraction. So instead of using the cable where I can pull it straight towards me, I use a dumbbell instead. I position myself very much like a supported dumbbell row, and instead of using my biceps and my arms to row it back, I want to keep my arms completely straight and focus on only moving my shoulder blades. Again, it is a unilateral or one-sided movement, so you will see me as I stretch my arms forward and retract my shoulder blades, specifically focusing on my mid and lower traps. That's the focus of what I'm aiming to do with this particular exercise. Again, taking the focus off my upper traps itself. The last exercise that I'm going to introduce to you guys is also the most technical out of the 4 shoulder movements. This exercise is known as a pal raise. The pal raise can be done over various angles. However, the example that I'm choosing today is using a flat bench. Now watch me as I position my legs and my arms specifically to hold my body in place as I strictly lower the dumbbells. This allows the focus to be on my shoulder blades itself. Now my shoulder blades should be intact, meaning that it does not wing out as I lower the dumbbell. The focus here is on my mid as well as my lower traps to keep it tight and maintaining that muscular contraction and integrity as the dumbbell is being lowered. Now where do I lower the dumbbell to? Typically it's right in front of my face, and just as it passes the line of my nose, I bring the dumbbell back up. My elbows are also locked out, so I'm not using any sort of bicep or rear delt movement to move the dumbbell. In fact, when my arms are being locked out, the goal here is to focus specifically on my scapulas, my shoulder blades. Now with all these activities, or the 4 exercises that I have showed you, the goal here is to get 12 to 15 reps of the exercise itself. If you are performing the unilateral or one-sided movements, start on the weaker side and use the number of reps that you can perform on the weaker side to determine how many reps you should perform on the stronger side itself. Most people will often have a disparity. One side is stronger than the other, one trap is more activated than the other, so often focus on the weaker, the more activated trap first before you move on to the stronger side itself. Now, if your main issue is being too upper trap dominant, then you might want to add in these particular exercises at the start of your workout, giving that priority so that you can teach your scapulas and make sure that you understand the movement of your scapulas even before you jump into any pulling or rowing movements. Make sure that with a pull or a row, choose a weight that is suitable for yourself, that you can perform the number of reps that you need to. I don't want you to try to force your reps in, because it's often with heavier load or force reps that your traps will be activated yet again. So these particular shoulder movements are there to re-educate the movement of your scapulas, to make sure that you have optimal movement and a better understanding of how they should be moving in any pulling or rowing movements. That way you can deactivate your upper traps and activate the muscles that you need to activate in a back exercise. Guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope that you've taken away some useful information with regards to these 4 exercises. Make sure that you drop in a comment to tell us how you've actually used it. And if there's anything else that you would like to learn, please make sure that you drop your comments below and a thumbs up to subscribe. I truly appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in our next video.